And we've got a marvellous field. 18 horses contesting this event, Gary. Well, it's a race that you never actually got to win, but was placed in it 6 times. It must have been frustrating.
It was, Dan, and really I couldn't say I was unlucky in any of them. I had good runs in the races. This start here is very important, the 2,500 metre. You've got a very short run to the turn. The horse is drawing wide. They've only got the 2 options. Either they kick up or they go back and try and get in. But Coronation Day certainly looks very well to me.
Well, Jim Cassidy's got the right on Coronation Day, and Jim's won 2 previous derbies on Handy Proverb and Omnicore. Let's see what Jim has to say about the big 3-year-old.
Well, Jim, to put it bluntly, he's put a little bit of a damper on things. Coronation Day, what about the track?
Well, he's never raced on it. The Mary was out of Born to be Queen. She was a good wet tracker, and I just hope that she's thrown a little bit back to him. The way the track is, he's a long striding horse, and normally it doesn't sort of really suit them sort of horses. But
Jim Cassidy, the rider of Coronation Day. Who's the favourite? Let's have a look at the tote rundown. Coronation Day's at $3.50, odds equivalent of 5 to 2. Palace Rain, $9.40. Shoeshine Henry, $30. Just One, $26. Muirfield Village, $7.50. Pallet, $20.80. Captive Edition, $22.60. Kenny's Best Pal, $30. River Hero, $6.70. Continued to shorten right up, River Hero. Check That Style, $18.90. Reading, $10.10. Scalero, $52. Our Pompeii, $72. Mac Brave, $16.80. Tuscan Artist, the horse from Perth, $114. He's Classic, $89, the Kiwi. $24 for Raising Kentucky, number 17. And $109 about number 18, Sovereign Dan. Restitution is out. Win pool of almost $1 million, $941,000. Would climb past the $1 million mark by the time they jump, and $634,000 for the place. So already the Derby holding over $1.5 million. Well, Gary, your tip in the event, are you going to stick with Coronation Day? Yes,
he certainly looks nice. He's nice and relaxed there. He's got the right jockey. One I do like a little bit is Reading, but I notice he's still a maiden, but a maiden won it last year, I think.
2 years ago, Fire Oak. Reading, he's a very lovely type of horse, and gee, he'll be suited by the distance, and of course he's by Nassipor, and Nassipor's side the Cup Quinella last year of Letzel Open, Shiva's Revenge, so he's certainly got the right breeding despite being a maiden, Gary.
That's right, yes, it's certainly, and he's been running home very well in most of his races. So I would expect, on the bigger track, that's what the trainer is saying the horse wants. Well, I hope he can get home today for them.
Well, Bart's had a tremendous record in this race, and he's got 3 in it this year. Shoeshine Henry, Muirfield Village, and Raising Kentucky as well, number 17.
Well, that's right. Muirfield Village was very impressive that day at Rose Hill when he beat Superimpose. And his running wasn't all that bad at the Cox Plate because it was a pretty rough race, and I think a lot of those horses you're going to ignore they ran at that.
Palace Rain fell in the Cox Plate last week. Can that affect his chances?
Well, it often does. The horse will lose a little bit of confidence. His winning the Caulfield Guineas was very good, and that is generally a race that's had a good bearing on the Derby. But whether that horse has got over that fall, only this race will tell, actually.
There's been good support for River Hero, number 9. He has shortened right up in the betting. He was double-figure odds, and now a clear-cut second favourite at $6.20 and $2.30. Crackers might have some last-minute information from the betting ring.
And I would say that River Hero, the boys down here are really going to take a whack in the eye if these two actually run to Quinella or get up, because there's been a hell of a lot of money, a lot of interstate money, and a lot of money from New Zealand. But all of a sudden, the boys have really decided to have a bet, and they've opened up and they've walked in, and I've seen a couple of $1,000 bets put on. There has been a couple of $5,000, and over in the rails, a lot of money put on too.
All set to go for the double AMI Victoria Derby, 2,500 metres. The light is on. Favourite Coronation Day. Set. And they're racing. Coronation Day missed the start by a length or so, and Shoeshine Henry a bit slow to begin with Tuscan Artist. One of the first horses to appear was Just One, and he immediately looks for the front running from Palace Rain. Mac Brave goes up in a second place, and wide out on the track, getting to third, Sovereign Dan, followed by He's Classic. Coronation Day's worked up to be 5th going out of the straight. They were followed by Muirfield Village, Palace Rain 7th on the rail, followed by Captive Edition. Going around them 3 deep was Raising Kentucky, and they were followed by Shoeshine Henry. Pallet back midfield from Our Pompey and Reading, 2 lengths to River Hero, who settled well for Die. Then Tuscanatus, 2 lengths to Check That Style, 2 lengths to Kenny's Best Pal, and last of all was Scalero, and he's 15 lengths off the lead. Along the back of the course they go, 1,700 metres to run, and Mac Brave in front for Darren Gauci. By a length to Sovereign Dan. Third, the inside was Just One. Shoeshine Henry going up 3 deep to 4th, and they were followed by He's Classic, Coronation Day. 7th on the inside, Palace Rain. A length away then to out on the outside, Muirfield Village, Captive Edition, the rail. They were followed by Pallet back midfield, Raising Kentucky 3 deep. Our Pompey's over on the fence, a length away then a Reading, 2 lengths away Tuscanartist and River Hero. 1.5 to Check That Style, 2 lengths to Kenny's Best Pal, and a length and a half to Scalero. Well, there must be 20 to 25 lengths between first from last. They have about 1,300 metres to travel, and He's Classic has taken over in the Derby. Leads by a length to Mac Brave. Third was Shoeshine Henry, a length away 4th, Sovereign Dan. A length and a half to Coronation Day, who's back 5th on the inside. A length and a half then to Palace Rain. Muirfield Village is starting to make up a bit of ground with Raising Kentucky. Over on the inside, Captive Edition, and then came Pallet. Reading starting to work into it. Our Pompey behind those, a break of 3 lengths to River Hero. Kenny's Best Pal taken to the outside, and then came Tuscanatus back at the tail of the field with Check That Style. They have 700 metres left to go, and again they're starting to bunch right up. Mac Brave just in front of He's Classic. Shoeshine Henry was 3rd. Then Coronation Day, followed by Muirfield Village, Sovereign Dan. Palace Rain getting away from the rail. Running on was Reading. Very wide out was Kenny's Best Pal. Around the home turn in the double AMI Victoria Derby. And it's He's Classic, one of the outsiders in front. From Mac Brave under pressure, then Shoeshine Henry. Here's Raising Kentucky on the outside, running on strongly. Muirfield Village behind them. Coronation Day got chopped off. 300 metres left to go. Hitting the front, Raising Kentucky. Reading is wearing it down. Getting up along the inside was Muirfield Village. 150 to go. Reading a length and a half in front. Muirfield Village got to second, then Raising Kentucky. Reading in front of the Derby, and a Maiden's going to win the Derby again. Reading draws away to win by a length and a half. Second, Muirfield Village. Close up third, Raising Kentucky. Then Our Pompey, Palace Rain. Check That Style made up ground from Pallet, River Hero. A break to Captive Edition. Well back was Just One, followed in by Mac Brave. Then He's Classic, well back Sovereign Dan from Scalero. Coronation Day's run 3rd last from Kenny's Best Pal and Shoeshine Henry. Oh, there's one tailed off, and that was Tuscanartist.
Well, Danny, that was the one that I said I thought might win, and that story you did on Narsapur, anyone at home that watched that, well, I hope they back Reading, but boy, Damien Oliver, he just continues to impress me as a jockey. Like, you forget he's not even 21 yet. And Muirfield Village was a good run. Coronation Day just over-raced. He pulled very hard. I noticed at the 1600, Jim Cassidy, when on a wet day like this, the reins are inclined to slip a bit in your hands, and he was in a bit of trouble down past the 1600 on Coronation Day.
He certainly had his work coming before the turn, but Reading was... Gee, he rated that perfectly, Damien Oliver, because he's a natural stayer that would be running on, and he just let him flow into the race, and I made it a one-act affair in the last 200. Bart Cummings' horses, Muirfield Village and Raising Kentucky, battle on pretty well and have emerged as very nice staying horses. But
I thought coming to the 200 when Mick Tippman angled for a run on Muirfield Village that he was going to be right in it, but Reading was just too strong. And Reading, to me, looks like with another year on him, he'll even be a better horse. He'll mature a little bit. He's still an immature-looking horse to me.
He's by Nassipur, we mentioned before, they take time to mature. This is his first win today, and it's a $778,000 race. Gary, looking at the replay, 11, 5 and 17 are the placings. 5 second Muirfield Village, and 17 is third Raising Kentucky. Well, he's put the issue beyond doubt at the 250. Reading's hit the front.
That's right, and here you can see Muirfield Village. Mick Tippman's gone back to the inside. And I thought at this stage he might get home, but Reading was just far too strong. I noticed just as they straightened up, there's a little bit of trouble. Palace Rain seemed to just cop a little bit of a check, but that might have been a little bit of the horses losing his confidence from that fall last week.
11, 5 and 17 are the placings. 4th in was number 13, which was Our Pompey, and 5th in was number 10, Check That Style. They're the winning connections, and what a moment that would be to win a Victoria Derby.
Oh, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
You'd be absolutely elated. You'd be on cloud 9 for a long, long time.
Certainly would. It's amazing, Dan, last year we remarked on some of these young jockeys coming through, like Stephen King, Damien Oliver. Here's Damien here. He's got just so much polish and spoil. You know, just amazes me the way he's riding, so much confidence.
Geez,
Very
really
vigorous.
Really putting it together, Damien Oliver. That was a perfect ride. And what a moment too for Gavin Kelly. That's his biggest success with a horse that was a maiden going into today's race, number 11 Reading. Gavin's talking with Peter Donegan.
Yes, and it's a very emotional Gavin Kelly. How are the nerves?
Well, they're a little bit ruined at the moment. When the rain came this morning, it really put a damper on things, and I really was a bit concerned about him, going through this. The track's not too bad, but I didn't want this. I wanted it to go a long way in a race like this, and look, he's proved, I think, that he was the best star in the race today. And that was always the thing with him, that he wanted the race hard and fit, and he will stay the journey. So I think that's what won it for him.
Did you feel any pressure leading up to the race, because everyone was talking about him? Oh, a maiden might win the Derby again.
There was a lot of interest in him, and I think the horse showed plenty of ability, and it was probably a pity that he was a maiden, but he's a very good horse, and I'm pleased that we finally got it.
Damien Oliver, a wonderful ride too.
Yeah, wonderful. Like I chased a couple of riders for him prior to the Bill start and that, and I couldn't really get anybody to commit. And after last Saturday's run, Damien committed, and that was nice too.
Must be a wonderful moment for you. I think you trained Convictual Lady to win a Sandown Cup, but this would probably put that in the shade now, I suppose.
I think this is just about it. This is perfect. This is a lot of planning, and it's finally come off.
Well, Gavin, the feeling's about to be complete as he comes back. I'm sure you want to be there with him. Congratulations.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you.
The trainer of the Victoria Derby winner, AAMI Victoria Derby winner in Reading, number 11, ridden by Damien Oliver. There's a bit of a superstition when you come onto racecourses, the first person you bump into you should follow. The first person I bumped into when I walked into the course very early this morning was Damien Oliver. And there he is, coming back to scale now with the Skull Cap Rays, the winner of the Victoria Derby, shades of Fire Oak a couple of years ago when a maiden won the Derby. And it's happened again today. This chestnut horse has been too good. Number 11, Reading, taking out the classic race for 3-year-olds. Second placing going to number 5, Muirfield Village, and the outsider, number 17, Racing Kentucky, running third. There are the placings after the AAMI Victoria Derby. And a wonderful scene down here in the mounting yard. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with more on the big race in just a moment.
Cussons has developed the powerful performer.
And there's the winner, the AAMI Victoria Derby for 1992, and what a strong win it was. Reading. And I tell you what, you have to spare a thought. You wait till you see the shot of the young bloke. For jockeys in conditions like this, they get spattered with mud from one end of them to the other. All right if you're winning, but what about if you come last? Graham Kelly has Damien Oliver with him.
Congratulations, Damien. Poetic Justice after seconds on Centro and Naturalism in the last 2 years in the Derby.
Yeah, that's right, Graham. I was really thrilled to win the race today. It's been a little bit frustrating the last couple of years just getting beaten, but, I was really satisfied to win it today.
Now, Reading was a quiet tip going into the race, but most people thought he needed a good track.
He usually a lot better on top of the ground, but, I just rode in quietly and getting him plenty of time to travel up underneath me and let him wind out in the straight.
That makes a big difference, of course, having the horse well balanced underneath you.
For sure, particularly on a wet track.
Now, you raced a fair way back as the mud on your face and the silk shows.
I wasn't sort of too worried about how far I got back as long as I, got him one off the fence and had an easy run through the race.
And then you whipped out coming to the 400 metres and you loomed up as a big challenge right at that stage.
Yeah, it worked out well because I had Muirfield Village back inside me in a pocket, and, I got a good card up from some of the other runners in the race, and when he straightened up, I just went for home on him.
And you're out on the outside and a good clear going and a good run.
That's right, yeah. The horse has a nasty habit of ducking in when he's under pressure, and I thought about changing the whip to the left hand, but I knew he'd cleared them, so I let him go forward to the fence then.
And he did duck in a little bit towards the post, didn't he? But nothing of any concern.
No, not at all. He'd sort of had the race won by then.
Good. Congratulations, Damien. A marvellous young jockey and another great win for you. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Graham.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, indeed, it was a great win, and there you can see it. Damien Oliver getting stuck into Reading. Didn't really need to. He went to the line. A very good winner indeed. There's the VRC Derby winner for 1992. We have correct weight. Let's go to the local dividends right around the country.
Tote dividends on the Derby. Placings are 11, 5 and 17. And we have no tote dividends at this stage. Quinella paid $40.10 though on the double, 44.70. So we'll have to come back and check those tote dividends. A problem with the totalisator. Correct weight is there, 11, 5 and 17. Reading first, Muirfield Village second, and Raising Kentucky has finished third. Fourth was number 13, which was Alpont Pay, and fifth was number 10. Check that style, and we'll be back to check the totes, the official totes, a little bit later.
All right, Danny, thank you. I guess if Peter Donegan might be listening, I know you are, Danny, we answered the question about Coronation Day would like this sort of going. Don't think he did.
No. He had some difficulty because he's missed the start and got involved in a scrimmage, and the bad track, obviously. So he had a few things against him today.
Yeah, a pretty checkered passage, not unlike the one he got coming around the home turn in the Cox Plate, Dan. But, well, you can't take anything away from the winner.
Absolutely
You know,
not.
it's a race for the staying horses, isn't it? And he stayed better than anything today.
And that sire again, Nasipur, of course, who we did the story on before, he's just taking all before him, particularly with the stayers.
Well, of course, Letzel Open, Shiva's Revenge, the Cup Quinella last year. Now he's won the Double AMI Victoria Derby. And he's proven to be a wonderful side, Tim, and I think the presentation might be just about ready after the Derby now.
They are indeed. Let's go down to the track for the presentations for the Derby. A little bit of confusion there. I think they might be waiting for us. Meantime, Reading's not very happy about something. You can imagine on a day like this, you're watching us anywhere around Australia, it's very windy, very wet, and they are highly tuned thoroughbreds, I can tell you, and there's plenty not to like on a day like this.
I think they
wind and the
were
rain.
just putting the sash on him there, Tim, and he didn't like the look of it, but I think the Connections probably would like the look of that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he doesn't have to like the look of that. All he has to like the look of is that winning post, and he sure did that.
Wonderful rug too for
beautiful, isn't it?
The Derby.
Yeah, really beautiful. Okay, presentations are ready now. Back to the track we go.
Right. Your Excellency, Mrs. McGarvey, Mr. Premier, and Mrs. Kennett, Lord and Lady Zetland, the VRC's official guests for the Carnival, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen a running of a great race, and before I introduce to you the Chief Executive of AAMI, I would like to thank that company for sponsoring the Derby. It's a bit unfortunate with the weather, but we saw a wonderful race, and on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank AAMI for all their help this year. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Keane, Chief Executive of AAMI, who will make the trophy presentation.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we at AAMI are proud to be associated with the VRC in this, our first presentation of the Victoria Derby, won today in such convincing fashion by Reading in those fantastic colours. The Victoria Derby is one of Australia's most prestigious races, steeped in history and tradition, and AAMI is honoured to be part of that heritage in taking over the Victoria Derby sponsorship. And there can be no doubt that Derby Day, despite the weather, is the best race day and the best race course in Australia, if not the world. This is a very proud and special moment for the Connections of Reading, and it gives me great pleasure on behalf of AAMI to present the owners of Reading with the AAMI Derby Trophy, Mr. and Mrs. Fox, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, and Mr. and Mrs. Rigg, and to ask Mr. Anthony Fox to accept the trophy.
Yes, he is. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen, what do you say? This is the culmination of a lot of work, and we took solace in the fact that Fire Oak won as a maiden 2 years ago, and I said to Gavin Kelly, I think we might do it again. I need the money, having recently retired. But all I can say is that as a maiden, what a hell of a way to break your duck, the VRC Derby. I'd like to pay a particular tribute to, and this is in the right order, to my wife Jill, who's put up with all hell over the last few months, because it is a difficult process to get to this stage. I'd specifically like to thank young Gavin Kelly. We've had our ups and downs, but don't anyone let anybody tell you that he doesn't know how to train horses. He is
maiden at the track. Coronation Day is the firm favourite, but there's a query now because of the rain effect of going. The rain has been persistent and a thorough nuisance to the day. The track now is dead, but probably bordering on slow, and he is at $3.50 and $2.10 on the Victorian tote, and at that price, 5 to 2, bookmakers aren't quite so generous. Palace Rain fell last start in the Cox Plate, as you know, and he is good wet track form, but has been a little easy on course. There's been a small amount of money late in betting from Muirfield Village. He's $7.60 on the tote, and roughly the same in the ring. The second favourite is River Hero, which raced wide and won the Norman Robinson with Shane Dye on board last start. And he's adept in the going, and he'll run second favourite behind Coronation Day, $6.60 on the tote, and he's about a point shorter on track. Reading, a maiden. We have seen a maiden win the Derby, Fire Oak recently, but he was the first this century. He's at $10.20, but he's the only other horse in the race at under double figure odds. They're running late on a day that's been completely marred by the persistent rain that we've had, and it's a great shame. Scalacci out of the Gadsden Ream Stakes to follow, and also scratched Let's Elope from the McKinnon race 7 this afternoon. The query must now be whether she'll be able to take her place in the Melbourne Cup on such a limited preparation. Anyway, we've got the Derby to get through. Before all that, Coronation Day favourite ahead of River Hero, Palace Rain, Muirfield Village, and then Reading. Excuse me. Well, Jim Cassidy's won this race twice before. He scored in 85 and 87 on Handy Proverb and Omnicorp. Max Lees has Coronation Day. She's he's out of Born to Be Queen, and she ran in that Derby in 85, the one that Handy Proverb won, and she ran third. And this big fellow looks to have thrown to the damn side. He's a great big lump of a colt, magnificently proportioned animal by Bletchingley. That's the Chink. But as far as staying goes, I mean, there hasn't been many Bletchingley stay. Kingston Town did, but he was certainly exceptional. Lining in now. They're moving in for the AAMI Victoria Derby. Palace Rain, first to go up on the inside. Our Pompey is set in gate number 2. Neville Wilson on board. Kenny's Best Palace joined them. Now coming in River Hero, Carpenter Edition going into his place. Stephen King having his first ride on Captive Edition. Won the Derby last year, of course, Stephen, on Star of the Realm. Now Reading is set next to River Hero. Pellet coming up. Scalero getting set as Pellet joins them. Brian York on board. Scalero about to come forward as Just One. Positions in the gates. Shoeshine Henry next to move in. Just One is set. Is Sovereign Dan, one of the outsiders in the race today, coming along. They're nearly ready. Coronation Day coming into his place in the gates. Jim Cassidy on board, a dual winner of the race. Now here's Raising Kentucky. Moving in, Simon Marshall. Scalero without the blinkers today. He's Classic. Check That Style coming up. And McBrave on the outside. Field nearly ready now for the Derby. Rain getting a little heavier. Track still officially dead. Probably closer to slow, I would think. McBrave ready. He's Classic set. Ready for the Derby. They're set. They're ready. Coronation Day bouncing around. Lights on. Ready and racing. Coronation Day just backpedaling at the start. Missed it about a length or so. Palace Rain Captive Edition and Just One began brilliantly going forward from Sovereign Dan. Coronation Day is improving now. And at the post the first time, it's McBrave going up on the outside of Just One. Sovereign Dan, he's Classic wider out, followed further back in the field, Coronation Day. And then Muirfield Village close up when they turn out of the straight from Palace Rain. And heading out now towards the 2,000 metre mark, McBrave went clear, led by 2 lengths to Sovereign Dan, out wide around He's Classic and Just One. A length and a half to Coronation Day, beautifully placed 5th outside Palace Rain. 1 further back, Captive Edition inclined to pull on the inside of Muirfield Village. Shoeshine Henry going forward 3 wide. A length further back, Raising Kentucky, Paladau Pompeii 1 to Reading. A length and a half further back in the field, then Tuscan Artist over on the inside of River Hero. Check That Style. Kenny's Best Pal and Scalero last in the Derby. McBrave leads them now, 1,700 to go. 3/4 in front, not going hard. Sovereign Dan is second, a length to Just One. Shoeshine Henry, he's Classic. 1 further back, Palace Rain, and then Coronation Day on the outside. 1.5 further back is Muirfield Village, who's following Coronation Day. Then Raising Kentucky moving up on the outside of Captive Edition. Paladau Pompeii, 2 lengths to Reading. About 3 lengths further back in the field, River Hero, Tuscan Artist, and then Check That Style, Kenny's Best Pal and Scalero. Now He's Classic had gone to the lead now, and a new leader in the Derby, 1,200 to go. He's Classic puts on more speed and leads by a length to McBrave. Shoeshine Henry third, 1.5 further back, Sovereign Dan, and then Coronation Day, who's on the outside of Just One, and they're followed by Muirfield Village, Palace Rain, Raising Kentucky, Pallet, and then Captive Edition and Reading. They're slowing down again. Our Pompeii is followed 2 lengths back by Kenny's Best Pal around River Hero, Check That Style, Scalero, and Tuscan Artist is last. 800 left to go in the Derby now. He's Classic just in front of Shoeshine Henry the outside. McBrave on the fence. A length and a half to Just One. Coronation Day coming into it around Sovereign Dan. They were followed further back in the field then by Muirfield Village, and on the outside Raising Kentucky when they turn for home. And Kenny's Best Pal is the widest runner, and Reading's come into it as well. On the turn, He's Classic took the lead from McBrave. Shoeshine Henry, Just One. Then Our Pompeii squeezing up on the inside, and here's Raising Kentucky with Reading and Muirfield Village running on. Raising Kentucky hit the lead from on the outside. Reading and Muirfield Village. Further back is Check That Style. Reading in front below the 200 metre mark now. Reading kicked away a length and a half in front of Muirfield Village, followed by Raising Kentucky and Our Pompeii. It's Reading clear, and a maiden's going to win the Derby again. Reading goes on to score by a length and a half to Muirfield Village. A half a head away third, Raising Kentucky from Our Pompeii. They were followed then by Palace Rain, and then Check That Style, followed by River Hero, Pallet. Back behind them, Captive Edition, and they were followed by McBrave, Just One, and then He's Classic, Sovereign Dan, Scalero. Coronation Day's knocked right up his finish, well back in the field, followed by Kenny's Best Pal and Shoeshine Henry with a long last Tuscan Artist.
Number 11, Reading, showing 11.20 and 3.40 over 5, Muirfield Village to return 2.80, and number 17, Raising Kentucky, third, $6.
Number 11, Reading, ridden by Damien Oliver. It's a photo for the miners in the Derby, a photo for the miners between Muirfield Village and Raising Kentucky, just in front of Our Pompeii, in the time of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. 2 minutes and 40. Slowest time since Galena Boy back in 1975. 11 and a photo. Reading emulating the feat of Fire Oak, winning the Victoria Derby as a maiden. 5 is second. Muirfield Village has run second. Mick Dittman. 17 is third. Raising Kentucky, ridden by Simon Marshall. It's 11, 5 and 17. 11, 5, 17. Fourth home in the race. Our Pompeii. And fifth was Check That Style. Coronation Day found nothing in the run home. whether it be the distance or the wet ground, but he has finished at the tail of the field. And a pat on the back for Damien Oliver. He deserves this win. He'd had 2 previous rides in the Derby, and he was beaten into second placing both times. Firstly, on Centro by the maiden Fire Oak, and then